Started in progress. Over to you.
Hello, I'm Charlotte, and I thought I would share a little bit about my experience of working with Claire recently. I know that it can be quite intimidating, or you can feel a little bit apprehensive about booking a session. And and I mean, I've been following Claire since what, 2018? So I've had a fair few sessions. But yeah, just maybe to give you a little bit of an insight about what you could expect if you chose and you feel that pull. Um, what I love about my sessions with Claire is that you can come with a plan, and that isn't always how the session might work out. Um, Claire is obviously, if you've been watching her on the YouTube channel, you can see how she's very intuitively guided, and that is exactly what happens in the session. But it's in a slightly different way. I don't know, it just feels more personal because it is just the two of you. It's that one-to-one space, a really good opportunity to kind of start to open up. Um, and Claire will then, often will just start talking. And it will just be a conversation that starts the kind of session off it. And all the time, just like if you're watching any of her other videos, she's just already started with the work, but it doesn't actually feel like it. It's not like, "Right, let's get down to business." It's a gentle, meander is kind of how I describe it into, a more some of the more structured part if you're doing like, a shamanic journey, as part of that, or hypnosis or any of that kind of, part of your session. Um so like this past session that I had, the most recent one, which was a few weeks ago now, we were talking for a considerable amount of time at the beginning, and I hadn't even got to my stuff, the stuff that I turned up to talk about. But that was all part of, I had to clear all that stuff away. We had to go through that process to really get to the bit for me to be able to access what I came to access in that session together. And so we've done all this talking, and then Claire kind of did a clearing at the end. So sometimes you might come to a session and find it's at the beginning, because I've definitely had that in other sessions. It's been starting with the clearing and gone through a process. You'd still have the conversation, but it's just been in a different order. But this time, yeah, it came at the end of this kind of unloading of all the things I'd been carrying around with me, and allowing myself to let all of that go. Um, and then we moved into some hypnosis. And it was interesting because the amount of time we had been talking, it meant that, and I go in to a trance quite easily anyway. But we were a bit unsure whether we'd need to do a bit more work. So Claire did check, and I was well and truly gone. So if you've ever seen me in the comments saying, what happened? What were you saying in that live? Or I've only just woken up. That is kind of what happens to me. I'll kind of like, relax, walk down the stairs, or whatever the words are that Claire uses. I mean, I'm pretty much gone halfway through, and then I'm waking up again, and I go so deep, I can't always, recall any of what we've done as part of the process. Um, so because I'm working at that deeper subconscious level, but it's also that full trust I have in Claire, just to, she's there guiding me to access what I need to access. I don't need to come out of it with, um oh, we did this, and we got this, I retrieved this part of me, or I know exactly what happened. I know that it's happening at a deeper level. I know that I'm safe enough in this space to release what's there, to talk openly and vulnerably about things that are bothering me, that it doesn't go any further. That's the joy of working one to one with, people that are trained like Claire, who have all that skill set, that know the ethics, and offer you that space in a really gentle way, that it's not, at least the work I do with Claire isn't, I haven't had to do too much intense work. It's a lot more of the that kind of inner child healing work that we've done. Um, but it's just a safe space for me to kind of let some of those things out, to share them, things that I might not have shared with other people, or only in, people that I trust completely. And it allows me then to access it when we go into the hypnosis or the shamanic journeys to access the subconscious and know that she's guiding me safely through that process, so that I can get the best outcome. So I kind of come back into the world and I'm ready to face what's coming. So this past session that we did, I'm still integrating from that session. I came with an intention that I wanted to cover during the session, but actually, you know, something else came up, and so I'm still working through that. So right in the weeks that have followed, because if you've watched anything else Claire's done, often there's that 3-week integration period. So often you'll start to notice more of them. And as I reflected back, even just preparing to kind of share here, it's actually there's have been those small moments where I've noticed, oh yeah, actually, previously I would have done this differently. I wouldn't have spoken up for myself, or I wouldn't have said this, or I would have just dealt with that in a completely different way. And it's just noticing those small things. It's not, for me, it's not always my life suddenly been tipped upside down and it's doing this instead of what it was before. It's those little beautiful small moments that I notice. Um, and it does take to be really present to notice them in the first place. But I'm still integrating, and I find it builds, on itself. So always excited to see, like, when I reflect back in 6 months' time from this session, how much further I am in my journey. Um, but I did at the end of this, the last session I had was refer to the time I spend with Claire in these one-to-one sessions as the compassionate cocoon. And for me, that's kind of like twofold. There's how Claire meets you in that space. She's offering you that cocoon, and it very much feels to me like I arrive as that caterpillar wanting to have a transformation of some kind and be off and flying and doing the stuff that I know I'm meant for in this life. And then she creates that little cocoon to allow you to turn into the mush and to be really vulnerable and allow yourself to go through that internal process that enables you then to kind of come out as the butterfly. But she does it with such compassion. She does it with, so, her listening is so beautiful, and the synchronicities when she's sharing things as well, in those conversations before or after, whenever they turn up in your session, um, that's all we've been woven in for you as like gifts from spirit, I guess is how I'd describe it, but just with the channel being Claire. But also there's that compassionate side for yourself, is giving yourself that gift of being able to show up for yourself, to let down your guard, be prepared to witness any part of yourself that might come up, and not judging what comes up, because yeah, we might come in with an intention like I did. This is what I need to work on, or I want to unpick, and it's not always, what's revealed to you isn't always what you thought it might have been. And not having any judgment around that, just being really kind to yourself and going, actually, this is clearly what I needed right now, and allowing yourself to move forward from that point. Because it can be uncomfortable. Transformation isn't isn't easy. It isn't for the faint-hearted. Having and doing this work time and time again. Like I said, I've been around Claire since 2018, but I've also been on my own. Trained as a shamanic practitioner and other things that I've done. So I've done a lot of healing work as well elsewhere and for myself in my own time. But there is we're doing it time and time again, but also knowing that there's times when you just can't do it by yourself. And I always go by my gut. I always go whether, okay, this is the time I need to call in Claire. And sometimes I don't even know why I'm calling it in, but I also, I always know I'm going to be met with this compassionate cocoon space where it's just about me, where it's allowing me to work through this, whatever this is, and that I will see changes for me beyond here and now. And it's all for my highest good, and it's all for me to continue the ascension process, and it's all for me to get that step closer to being in union with my twin flame. So, you know, if you're feeling called to work with Claire, you know, it is a beautiful process. But allow yourself to yeah, be vulnerable with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Is this something I need help with? And how can I bring that about for myself? Yes, sometimes it takes time, doesn't it? We make these decisions and think now's the right time to go. And then we have to make it, you know, sometimes it's about moving resources to make that happen. And sometimes it's just, you know, our own beliefs, our own mindset that might get in our way sometimes. But if you're feeling that pull, know that you're going to be met exactly where you are. You're going to be held through the process. And there's definitely beautiful things on the other side of it. So I trust that's given you a little bit of an insight. I trust that's been helpful in some way just to, yeah, if you've not had a session before and you have been a bit like, what's waiting for me on the other side of that Zoom call? It's nothing scary. It's nothing to worry about. You are being perfectly held the whole way through. And it's now just up to you to sort of take that next step um, and get the support that you need for right now. So sending you all lots of love and yeah, take care.
And thank you. And yeah, I felt like I did need to just come on there before I stopped the recording and say, I did stay. I said I was going to make a cup of tea and I didn't. I felt compelled to listen and you made me cry. And
Oh,
I was guided to, I'm not gonna talk for too long because this could end up being like 2 hours. But yeah, thank you. That was all very beautiful, and it was just all very beautiful, and, I really appreciate everything that you said there, and I feel that will help other people too, and they guided me to just put the video on because it's like, a lot of the time, this is how I'll show up on the video with people,
mhm.
hanging out in my jammies, and yeah, so and that's one of those days because it's Pisces season. So yeah, I just felt it was like, it was needed at the end there to jump in. So I will now stop recording, but yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, thanks for sharing. See you later, everyone, and not Charlotte, because I'll just stop the button.